from the Center for the Arts studio, this is Good Afternoon Ashland. I'm Ethan Jenkins.
And I am Lauren Gulden. Thanks for tuning in. In campus news, the new Ashland University president has been announced to be John Parrish, PD. He is the former chairman of the National Endowment for the Humanities, and he will take over as university president starting on June 1st. PD shares 25 years of experience in both higher education and federal agencies, and takes over for Carlos Campo, who announced his departure in August of last year. This information was released to the Ashland community on Wednesday, March 27th through a press release. The Ashland Center for Nonviolence hosted a showing of a film that highlighted the issue of PTSD in veterans in America. Ethan got a chance to stop by the viewing and ask the organizers why the event was so important to them.
I'm standing inside the Ashland University Student Center auditorium, where recently a screening of the film What I Want You to Know brought attention to veterans' mental health in America.
So this was a collaboration between the Ashland Center for Nonviolence and the Symposium Against Indifference, which the theme this year of that is Perspectives on the Mental Health Crisis. So once we knew that that was the theme for the year, we were trying to think of a film screening that we could bring in. We'd had a steering committee member from our organization who had seen this film in its very early days, and we knew what it was about, and because of the mental health perspective, we wanted to bring it to the campus community at large. And so we partnered also with the Mental Health and Recovery Board and brought in Silent Watch, which is a veteran suicide prevention group, and wanted to bring people here to hear the message of the film.
Not all of our students are 18 to 22. We have veteran students, many veteran students on our campus. Every single time I teach Taking Human Life, I have veterans in my class, and they speak about their experience of moral injury sometimes. So these are relevant in a broad way for all people.
It was really cool to see the community come out and support awareness for veterans. In other campus news, an Ashland University alumni is touring the country directing Broadway shows. Eddie Carney is a 2013 graduate from AU, currently traveling the United States leading production of the Cher Show. The tour includes stops in big cities such as San Francisco and Boston, with one performance in Ohio coming up in June in Toledo. Carney currently resides in New York, where he aims to take part in more productions when the Cher Show wraps up in August. The theater program may be sunsetting in the near future, but graduates are finding success in the field. After getting postponed because of weather, a Black History Month 5K race recently took place, put on by the Alpha Phi sorority. AUTV's Jonathan Schilling got a chance to stop by the walk and race to speak with the participants.
On March 23rd, Alpha Phi hosted a 5K fun run to help celebrate Black History Month. We got to sit down with a couple participants to see what their involvement was with the 5K.
A Black History Month 5K, so it's normally in the month of February just because of some weather conditions. We had to cancel in February, so it got moved to March. All proceeds go to the NAACP. And Alpha Phi just kind of helps put it on. This started a little while back and then COVID hit, so it's always kind of been run inside of the rec center. So we run out treadmills and then people come in anytime during the day and they run their 5K. I thought that, so I took over for VP as Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for Alpha Phi, and one of the biggest things was I want to get our 5K on the ground. I think it would raise a lot more money, more people would be interested. We're no longer having the restraints of like we can't be next to each other, and I think it'd be good to go outside and get a run on. So it was our first time bringing it outside. It was a little colder than we expected. We didn't realize how quick the weather changes between February and March. I think it went really well. I think we've had more people sign up than we ever had. We raised over $400 for the NAACP, which I think is incredible compared to other years before. We had a lot of volunteers and a lot of good people and a lot of good company.
For AUTV, I'm Jonathan Schilling.
Thanks, Jonathan. When Good Afternoon Ashland returns, we will take a look at a new opening on the Ashland City School Board with a new replacement process as well, and a speaker coming to the Ashland Theater. And later, we will hear from Matt Salvucci to keep us up to date on sports, on campus, and around Ohio.
Stay tuned. You're watching Good Afternoon Ashland.
Welcome back to Good Afternoon Ashland. In local news, a member of the Ashland City School Board has resigned. Insurance agent and co-owner of Sprang Smith Insurance Agency, Rob Wash, stepped down on March 11th, but was not officially voted out by the board until last week. The resignation will be effective as of June 1st. Wash won his election race this past November and did have his term renewed until 2027. A plan to fill the vacant position on the board is currently being developed, with letters of interest and resumes being collected through April 19th at 4 p.m. Those interested in applying should be emailing their materials to the Ashland City Schools Superintendent or mail them to 1407 Claremont Avenue. The oldest jazz performance in Ohio made its way to Ashland University recently. Each year, internationally recognized musicians come to the Hugo Young Theater to perform their work and help teach students during the Maple Rock Jazz Festival. AUTV's Michaela Weimer stopped by with jazz students to get their thoughts on the tradition.
The Maple Rock Jazz Festival is one of the oldest jazz performance and educational festivals in the Midwest. Ashland University Jazz Orchestra has worked with international jazz figures at the Hugo Young Theater and performed on Friday, March 22nd.
Honestly, it's for the guest artists who, year by year, they're famous trumpet players. We had a really great Latin drummer last year who just brought this energy to the stage that was amazing. And just sort of being able to see that sort of professional level of musicianship and then be able to bring that to like an academic setting and have a good time with us as students. It's pretty laid back, as you can see from the concert, and there's not really any forms to it. Like a traditional concert band, you'll come out, the lights dim, everything, you sit down, you stand up, people clap. This, I like how it's just sort of, you come and you play, and I sort of like the nightclub scene of it too, where it's like, you go out, have a couple drinks, and listen to some nice jazz. So
a lot of these people have kind of heard these names before. They might have had an old jazz band director or something like that. That is one of the guest artists, or they just hear a recording and maybe a soloist is one of these guys. So it's really a cool opportunity for a lot of people.
So we'll be playing in the Nest on April 20th at 7:30. So that's our last concert of the year for the seniors.
For AUTV, I'm Michaela Weimer.
Thanks, Michaela. In local news, the Ashland County Health Department is hosting a Senior Citizen Day. Participants can learn how to prevent falling and practice strength training exercises just in time for National Public Health Week. The health department is located at 1211 Claremont Avenue. Attendees will also be offered free bone density screenings with results in less than 5 minutes. This event will run from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Thursday, April 4th.
When Good Afternoon Ashland returns, we will head over to the sports desk with Matt Salvucci.
Stay tuned. You're watching Good Afternoon Ashland.
Welcome back to Good Afternoon Ashland. I'm Matt Salvucci, and this is your sports news in Ashland and around Ohio. In Ashland University news, the softball team is off to a solid start to its 2023-24 campaign, currently sitting towards the top half in the conference standings. They sit with an overall record of 11-14 and 5-3 in the conference. One of the Eagles' recent wins was a commanding 6-2 victory over the Cedarville Yellow Jackets. The Eagles were led by sophomore Danielle Robbins, who stole 3 bases and went 2 for 4 at the plate. Junior Cassidy Schaefer also added 2 runs to the score sheet. Coming up next for the Eagles is a doubleheader at the University of Findlay on April 6th. In March Madness news, brackets have been broken and upsets are everywhere to be seen. Both the men's and women's tournaments have only 8 teams remaining. On the men's side, the teams who competed in the Sweet 16 were all a 6 seed or above, except one. The 11-seeded NC State has looked to be this year's Cinderella story, led by 6'9", 275-pound DJ Burns Jr. The NC State forward has been averaging 20 points per game, and teams have been completely unable to stop the Giants. As for March Madness brackets, there are no remaining perfect brackets for the men's tournaments. The last ones were broken in the second round. However, it is a different story for the women's tournament. There still remains a singular perfect bracket heading into the upcoming rounds. In order for this bracket to remain perfect, South Carolina must beat Notre Dame, Iowa has to win against UCLA, Texas must win against NC State, and finally, USC has to continue its run past Connecticut. After the Elite Eight, South Carolina and Iowa have to advance to the final, and South Carolina must win for this bracket to stay true. There has never been a perfect bracket in the history of the sports, and the odds of randomly picking a perfect bracket are 1 to 9.2 quintillion. But there is always a chance that this could be the year. In national news, the NFL approved one of the most drastic rule changes to date. In recent years, concerns have been made over the kickoff becoming a routine and boring part of the game. In response, NFL owners have approved a new revitalization of the kickoff to ensure each one remains an integral part of the sport. The rule changes state that no players except the kicker and the 2 returners are allowed to move before the ball is caught. The receiving team blockers must line up between the 35 and 40-yard line, and the opposing team must have all players behind the opposing 40-yard line. This change encourages teams to return the ball rather than go for a touchback. This new kickoff mirrors the one implemented by the XFL, the newly created Spring League. This new kickoff will undergo its trial period during the 2024 season. And that is it for your sports news, local and around Ohio. Now, back to Lauren and Ethan at the news desk to wrap up this edition of Good Afternoon Ashland.
Thanks, Matt. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Good Afternoon Ashland. To keep up with AUTV, be sure to follow us across all social media at AUTV.
Stay tuned in to 88.9 WRDL, AU's student-run radio station at 88.9 FM and online at WRDLFM.com.
Also pick up a copy of the award-winning newspaper, The Collegian, and check out ashland-collegian.com for more news and content from the JDM department. We would like to thank the crew here at AUTV for making this all possible. I'm Ethan Jenkins.
And I'm Lauren Gulden. Thanks for watching.